Welcome. I am so excited today to talk to you about income in retirement, creating income in retirement. I think it's so important that people know how to do this. Whether you're high net worth or low net worth or medium net worth, it doesn't matter. Most people don't know how to create income in retirement. So I am Kelly Slott, the owner and CEO of California Wealth Advisors. Welcome to all of you. I know we have a lot of current clients on here, a lot of new folks as well. So I want to welcome everyone. I really look forward to creating these webinars that we do, building foundations for financial wealth. Also important to educate people out there. So I'm glad to have you. So let's jump in to some slides. All right, let me get moving here on my slideshow. Okay, hopefully everybody can see this well. Okay, so again, building foundations for financial wealth is my series. I have a number of series on my website. If you go to californiawealthadvisors.com, you can see my previous webinars that I've done. I've done traditional investments, I've done annuities, I've done all sorts of different webinars out there to educate what's available to you. So today, creating income for retirement. Again, so important for people to know this. Most people don't. They're very good at their job. They could be an engineer, a doctor, a business owner, whatever it is that you do. I'm sure you're very, very good at it. But creating income when you reach retirement, pre-retirement, or in retirement is sometimes a mystery to a lot of folks. So again, this is why I do these series. So let's jump in. So again, I am Kelly Slott, owner and CEO, founder of California Wealth Advisors. I do have a radio show. Many of you found me from the radio show. KNX 1070 plays on Saturday mornings. Welcome to have you there anytime. If you can't make Saturday mornings, then you can always go listen to any show. I have 4.5 years, I think, of shows on there now. On my website, californiawealthadvisors.com. You can go into the radio tab and listen to any of the radio shows there. So by all means, use that at your leisure when you're ready. Also, I wrote a book, The Great Retirement Mystery, How to Avoid the 6 Biggest Blunders. I have a few behind me here. I think it's just a great book to understand strategies on investments, what you should be looking at, which we'll cover a little bit here as well. But how to avoid the 6 biggest blunders, that's actually true for anyone, whether you're 20 years old or 80 years old or anywhere in between. How to avoid the 6 biggest blunders, I think, is very important to be aware of. So what's one of them? Well, who are you listening to? Are you listening to your neighbor's best friend's cousin? Do they really know anything about your particular financial portfolio? Probably not. So let's make sure you actually have professional wealth management at the table with you when you're going to pre-retirement, going through pre-retirement or retirement. Okay, I want to talk, before I jump too deep in here, I want to talk about my private client process. I talk about this because this takes your entire financial house into consideration here. So your investment dollars, but also you have way more than your investment dollars to look at in your entire financial house. So I'm going to stop share. I'm going to draw on my board here because I think it just, I think it comes across better when I can draw it. So I position myself as your financial director here. So you need to have a quarterback. You need to have somebody that is the financial director for you, that's looking at your entire financial house. That's my opinion anyway. Again, this is my private client process. So of course you have your investment dollars here, and you have the rest of your financial house. So your investment dollars, and it doesn't matter here if you have $1 million or $100 million. If you're not taking care of your whole financial house, you're at risk for a lot of things. So what am I talking about here? Well, we are talking about risk. So what is at risk in your entire financial house? Well, I think taxes. I think if you're paying too much in taxes, you have money going out the door that you will never get back. When you write a check to the federal government or the state government, do they usually send it back to you? Probably not. So taxes, once you send them out, are pretty much gone to you. Let's make sure you're not paying too much in taxes. If you've sold a business, for instance, if you've sold a primary place of residence, if you sold a stock, I have clients that have Apple stock, they put in $100,000 25 years ago, it's worth $3 million today. I know you're probably listening, I won't name names. And that's great, but sometimes it's time to sell some of that to create more income or to buy another asset. And that's a huge gain you'd have to pay. And if you don't do anything about it, you're going to pay a lot in taxes. So there's a lot we can do there to stop the tax man from taking all your dollars. There's opportunity zones. There's different kinds of trusts we can set up as well. Different tax write-off programs that we have that are fabulous. So taxes, I think, is a huge part of risk in your entire financial house. But we're also looking at your property and casualty insurances that you have, any kind of insurances that you have. I think, do you have the right insurance? Do you have an umbrella policy, perhaps for your rental properties, your primary place of residence, your business? Do you have the correct coverage for all of that? When is a good time to take Social Security? Again, I'll talk about Social Security in more depth in a minute. But these are all important things that are at risk in your entire financial house that I really do believe needs to be looked at for everyone. Then we're going to go down here to estate planning. So do you have an estate planning trust? Do you have the correct documents? Do you have a power of attorney? Do you have a medical directive? When's the last time you did your trust? I have a client that I'm working with right now. He's selling his business for about 100 million. I said, okay, well, let's look at all of this. Do you have a trust? He says, oh yeah, I have a trust. I said, okay, when was the last time you had it updated? He said, well, 1990. I said, well, that was a long time ago. Divorces happen, kids happen, businesses grow, assets get sold. You need to update your trust, I think, every couple of years. And I do have a trust attorney that I work with very closely. If you don't have a trust attorney, I work with many trust attorneys, but make sure you have these documents updated, current, with the assets that you have, with the loved ones that you want to take care of. I have a client right now, I'm working with him. He's getting ready to retire as well. He has 3 kids. One of them is very successful, making multi-million dollars a year, built up a great business. But my client also has a number of millions as well. So he said that child of mine doesn't really need my money. The other 2 haven't had as big success as he has. So I'd like to leave more to them. So make sure this is up to date for you. And you, again, you have these medical directors and powers of attorney as well. These are really important documents to have. Okay, what's the final thing that brings all of this together? Well, I call this the vault. So you need to have a vault, a family office, we often call it, where it puts all of your documents in one place. So your estate planning documents, your medical directive, your umbrella policies, your insurance policies, the trust deeds to your rental properties or your house, your investment dollar statements as well, all go into the vault. That's one place where everything's going to be kept. I have a number of clients that love to travel. I love to travel too. And I had a client last year in Spain. I've told this story before, and she got pickpocketed and she lost her passport. It took her 2 weeks to get out of Spain because she didn't have a copy of her passport anywhere. Now, if she's a client of ours now, so now we have a copy of her passport in her vault. But if you're traveling and you lose your passport, we have a copy of your passport. So we can send it to you immediately, and that will save you a lot of angst, believe me. So to have all of your important documents in one place, I think is very important. And yes, you have access to this, and so does your beneficiaries. And we update this periodically too. Again, we go to investment dollars, and that's what most advisors are only going to talk to you about. And that's what makes us very different than other financial firms, because we're going to talk to you about everything here. Make sure that you're covered with all of this. So if you haven't done all of this, I think it's very important that you do it. I bring this up at the beginning of my seminars because I just think it's just paramount. It's really vital for you to do this for your financial house and your loved ones as well. Okay. So there's my private client process. I did record a video on this, actually. It's on my website. If you go to californiawealthadvisors.com, go into private client process, click on that link, and it'll take you right there. And I walk you through this a little bit more in detail. Okay, let me go back to sharing my screen. Let me find the correct one here. Here we go. Okay, there we go. Perfect. So we got too many, there we go. Okay, private client process. Again, go to my website. You'll find it there, the video that I recorded. I think it's really important, really, really important. Okay, let's talk about the key components to investing. So the first one is you need to have a plan. You need to have a plan, and it needs to be specific to you. Every client that comes to see me is different. They have different needs, wants, desires. They have different timeframes. They have different income needs. They have different beneficiaries needs for their heirs. Every client's different. We are not cookie cutter here. We will not put you in portfolio A, B, or C. We will not do that. That again makes us very different than other advisory firms. And again, the tailor making is what we do here. So having a plan that's specific to you, incredibly important. The next thing you need to do is have diversification. You need to have the correct diversification for you. Every client, again, is different with that. Some clients love aggressive portfolios. Some clients don't. They want safety. They want downside protection. It's imperative that you do this for yourself, that you make sure you're working with a financial professional that knows what they're doing. They know how to create a plan for you and then have that correct diversification. So how do we do that with the diversification? We do it through the master proprietary process, the markets, alternatives, and safe money. And here's a slide of that as well. So M is the market, stocks, bonds, and mutual funds. I love stocks, bonds, and mutual funds. When I started in the business many years ago, I cut my teeth on municipal bonds, California municipal bonds. So I understand bonds quite clearly. I don't do bonds these days because we can get higher interest rates elsewhere. So mutual funds, stocks is maybe where we're going to go. If you need something liquid, that's also where we go with the markets. Now, again, it's red here for a reason. Markets do go up and down. So if you don't want to have that anymore in your portfolio, and I'll talk about this a little bit later, make sure you have diversification from the markets. Again, how do we do that? Well, again, the master proprietary process. A is alternatives. I'm talking about real estate there. I'm talking about private placements, gold and silver even. Oil and gas programs, which is where I get a lot of write-offs or tax-free income for folks as well. So alternative investments are fabulous. I love them. The investment there is not going up and down with the market every day like you're seeing in the Dow every day. Their prices are staying pretty level, if you will. They only reprice themselves usually once a year. With the real estate programs, I love those. Many of my California clients love real estate. They built their wealth on real estate, so they love real estate. And yes, we can do these in retirement accounts as well. Many of them pay 4, 5, 6, 7%. A lot of that's tax advantaged if you do those outside of retirement accounts. And then of course you have growth from the underlying real estate as well. So the real estate programs are wonderful. Private placements are great. I have a bond right now that pays 10%, probably be closed sometime soon. That's a private placement. Oil and gas programs, like I mentioned, a lot of them give you tax write-offs. So if you sell a business, you sell a highly appreciated asset, a lot of times if we take some of those proceeds and put it into one of the oil and gas programs, you get immediate tax write-offs. Now, you have to be accredited investors to work with us for the alternative side. That means you have $1 million or more of assets exclusive of your primary place of residence, but they're wonderful for a lot of folks. And then we look at the safe section. So many of my clients come to me and they say, look, Kelly, I've worked all these years. I've built up my assets. I just want to have income guaranteed for my life and my spouse's life. I can't say that about the stock market, and I can't say that about alternatives either. Those are not guaranteed returns. I can say that about the safe money. Safe money, when I do insure products backed by insurance companies, usually these companies are 100 or 200 years old. They're not new companies, but they do back the guaranteed income for life or the downside protection that you might be looking for as well. So again, when I do all three of these, it tends to bring comfort and peace of mind to people because all of their money is not in the red section. It's not in the markets. And again, that makes us very different than other financial firms. So we'd be happy to work with you and explain more about these in detail, but I wanted to kind of give you a broad stroke of kind of how we look at investments. Okay, let's look at sources of retirement income. So here's some questions you might ask. What are your sources of retirement income? What assets do you have? And these are the questions I ask when I sit down with you. Should your nest egg money be kept separate from your emergency money? What taxation are you going to have when you use these sources for income? When to take Social Security? Is it a good time to take it now or delay it? And do you make too much money contributes to IRAs, retirement accounts? And is a Roth conversion a good idea for you? I'm going to cover that in depth in a moment here. So what do we use to create income sources? Well, government-sponsored plans. What's that? Social Security. When do we take that? Retirement accounts, we're going to look at Roth IRAs, 401ks, 457, 403bs, defined benefit plans, pension plans, cash balance plans, simple SEPs, all sorts of different retirement accounts we look at to create income for you. Trust accounts. A lot of my clients have millions in their trust accounts, and usually that's stocks, which is fine. But maybe there's something we can do to create income for you off of those. And then we're going to look at savings and investment accounts. Maybe selling of a business is what you're going to be doing too, to then take those proceeds and create income for you. And then rental properties, certainly. A lot of clients have rental properties. And is it good to do a 1031 exchange? Maybe get out of managing properties for yourself. So again, these are all the sources we use to create income for you in retirement. Okay, let's talk again about government-sponsored plans. So Social Security, you can take it at 62. Does not mean you should. That's the lowest dollar amount you will get if you take it at 62. Every year you wait, you're going to go up about 8% per year. Don't wait till after age 70. That's the maximum age you can take or sign up for Social Security. Don't wait till after that. There is no benefit to wait till after age 70. The difference between age 62 and 70, however, is 132%. So if you take it at 62, then you're going to get really about 132% less than you would have had you waited till age 70. Now, one thing I will throw in here. If you feel like your health is not good, you're not going to live a good long time. And we all are living longer. My mother, I love my mother. She's 97 years old and going strong. Just took her out to dinner, as a matter of fact. We're all living longer, but if you feel like you have bad health, then maybe taking it at 62 or even 66, full retirement age, 66, 67 is full retirement age for most folks. That might be beneficial for you. But again, creating a plan that's specific to you is what we're going to do here. Also, I always encourage the higher earning spouse to wait until age 70, because if they pass away, the remaining spouse will get their payment, which is generally higher. There's the remaining spouses goes away, their Social Security goes away, but they get the higher payment from the spouse that was a higher earner. So I think that's smart too. So again, managing all of this is important. Okay, we're going to look at retirement accounts now. So again, 457s, 401ks, 403bs, Roths, IRAs, pensions, all sorts of different kinds of retirement accounts out there. An IRA, a 401k, is not an investment in and of itself. It's a vehicle. It's a custodial account, which will then decide the tax treatment when you withdraw funds from those accounts. But it's an umbrella, if you will. Your 401k, your IRA, it's an umbrella. What you do underneath it is what I talked about earlier with my master proprietary process. So just because you have dollars in a retirement account does not mean, first of all, it's managed correctly. Second of all, that it's a designated plan designed specifically for you, and making sure you have the correct diversification, right? Are you diversified correctly within that retirement account? Again, that's what we professionally do here to make sure you're doing that. Making sure you have a plan and a strategy for those dollars. And maybe you don't need income off of those dollars, and maybe you need to create as much growth as you can to leave them to your beneficiaries, and that's fine. That's the plan and strategy we'll come up with for you. Many times I see people have too much risk in their 401ks, pensions, because it's all in the stock market. And when you're all in the stock market, you're subject to whatever the stock market does. Now, again, 2-year, 5-year, 10-year investments is usually what I recommend for folks. And if you can weather that, it's great. But usually what happens when people get closer to retirement is they don't want to have so much risk in their portfolio. Again, that's why I bring in alternative investments as well as safe insured investments backed by insurance companies as well. So let's make sure you don't have too much risk in your portfolio. And please don't leave your 401ks, your pensions at the company you used to work for. Why? Because they're only going to leave you in the stock market. You're only going to have choices of stocks, bonds, and mutual funds. Generally, you're only going to have choices or 10 or 20 different mutual funds to choose from within that 401k or pension. There's 8,000 mutual funds on the planet, so those are probably not the best ones out there. So let's actually tailor make this for you. Well, how do we do that? Well, you roll over those funds, the 401k, the pension, the cash balance plan, you roll them over into an IRA. If you're still working for the company and you want to have more diversification, you want to have more choices than the company is offering you, many times you can do what's called an in-service transfer. That means you're still working for the company, you're still contributing for the 401k, they're still matching you if they do that. None of that changes, but you're rolling over a big chunk of that into an IRA, which now we can tailor make for you. We can create the master proprietary process. M is the market, A is alternatives, S is safe money. We can do that for you when we do a rollover or an in-service transfer. Sometimes you can't do a rollover or an in-service transfer if you're still working for the company, but you can open a brokerage window, which allows someone like me as a professional to come in and professionally manage that for you. And we do have more choices to offer than usually what they just have there. The money stays there, it stays at the company, but now we're managing it for you. So I don't know where any of you are going to stand in all of that, but there are options available to you. So just be aware of that. For retirement accounts, there's a lot we can do to correctly diversify, create a plan specific for you, and actually have a strategy that works for you as well. Okay, what are the distribution rules for retirement accounts? Okay, if you take money out of a retirement account before you're age 59 and a half, that can trigger a 10% penalty that you're going to have to pay to the government. I don't generally like people to do that. So let's not take money out before you're 59 and a half. Now you can take money out of the accounts after 59 and a half with no 10% penalty, but that does not mean there's no taxes. You are still going to have to pay taxes on what you withdraw there if it's a 401k, an IRA. A Roth, no, you don't have that. I'll talk about Roths in a minute. And then required minimum distributions, you have to take the first one after you turn age 73 by April of the following year. However, if you do wait until April of the following year, that means you have to take 2 out in 1 year. Usually I don't like people doing that. So let's make sure we've planned that for you as well. Now, again, that will go up to age 75 over the next couple of years. So even if you're age 70, 69, 65 right now, we probably don't have to worry about required minimum distributions until you're probably age 75. Okay, exceptions to the rule of taking money out before you're 59 and a half. Well, first-time home buyers can take out up to $10,000. Qualified educational expenses, you can take money out without paying that penalty as well. Death or disability, of course, it goes to the beneficiaries. Some qualified medical expenses, and then very low income people can get an exception as well. Okay, let's talk about Roth IRAs for a minute. So a Roth IRA, I love Roth IRAs. The withdrawals you take from a Roth or even a 401k Roth are tax-free. That's a win to me. Anything that can be a tax-free benefit to you is a win to me. The growth within a Roth is also tax-free. You're not paying taxes on the growth in there. Again, that's another win. I like that. More dollars to you. Love that. However, there are limits to new contributions. So no contributions for single filers that make over 150,000. You can't put new money in there. Now you can do Roth conversions, but you can't put new money in there. If you're a joint filer, if you make over $230,000, you can't put new money in there. Again, you can do Roth conversions still, but you can't contribute new money. Okay, so what's the amount? Well, $7,000 if you're 50 and under. If you're over age 50, it's $8,000. You can do backdoor contributions to 401ks that have a 401k Roth. Now, not all 401ks have Roths, but you can do that way. I have a number of doctors actually that make hundreds of $1,000s of income a year, and they can contribute to their Roths. So it's making sure we set this up correctly, and yes, we can do that for you as well. Again, Roth conversions are available. Anybody can do a Roth conversion no matter how much money you make. It's just a taxable amount when you do it. So for instance, if you have a 401k that's got $1 million in it, you don't want to take all $1 million and do a Roth conversion, because that is $1 million of ordinary income taxes you'll have to pay on that. That's too much of a tax bill. However, maybe we do 50,000, maybe we do 20,000, maybe we do 100,000 per year that we do it, and we pay taxes on that amount. Now it's good to match that with any kind of capital loss that you might have. Maybe you sold real estate at a discount, or you lost in a stock position or something. That's a good time to do it. Maybe you have a lower income year. Maybe you were ill, or you got laid off, or you just had a lower income year. Maybe you were between jobs. That's a good time to do a Roth conversion too, because again, it's taxed as ordinary income, the amount you move into there. There are a number of programs that I work with actually, that if you put in $100,000, they mark it down to, let's say $50,000, you do the Roth conversion, and then they mark it back up eventually. I can talk to you more about that, but there are ways we can look at advantages we can see there. Okay, Roth features. No required minimum distribution for Roths. I love that. If you have a 401k, you have a pension, you have to take money out of there each year. For Roths, you don't. It passes to your heirs tax-free. I love that. That's a wonderful way to defer taxes for your beneficiaries, for your estate, that they don't have to pay with a Roth. So the more money we put into the Roth, the better for that. And then again, withdrawals are tax-free, growth is tax-free. I love that. So I usually tell people, be a little bit more aggressive with your Roths, because whatever we make there is going to be tax-free, which is nice. Okay. Roths do have income barriers, right? If you make a certain amount, you can't put more money in there. The most common strategy is to contribute to a non-deductible IRA and then immediately convert it to a Roth. So that's a way to get new money in there. You don't get the deduction from the IRA, but then you convert it to the Roth, and then of course that amount is as taxed as ordinary, excuse me, ordinary income. And then doing a backdoor Roth, I love that. If you have a 401k, please find out if you have a Roth as an option and maybe putting money in there. Okay, let's talk about trust accounts. And again, the overall here, we're looking to create income in retirement. So trust accounts. Well, first of all, have you updated your trust documents, right? Very important. I like people to do that every couple of years. If you don't have a trust attorney to work with, I do have one that I absolutely love that I would highly recommend you work with. Is your trust valid? I've had clients bring me copies of their trusts. They say, oh yes, I have a trust. Here's my trust. Set up an account in my trust name. And it's not signed. It's not dated. It's not valid if you haven't signed it and dated it. So make sure it's valid. And do you have your assets titled correctly? Are your assets in the name of the trust, or do you have a lot of rental properties that actually should not be in your name or your trust name? It should be in a separate LLC. So are your assets titled correctly? Let's make sure that happens too. That's part of the risk part of my private client process as well. Okay, again, looking for ways to create income in retirement, personal savings account, investment accounts. Maybe you're going to sell a business, stocks, cash, savings, inheritances. I have a lot of clients that have inheritances that they just don't know what to do with. They've got $500,000, $1 million sitting in the bank. They don't know what to do with, but they need income in retirement. And so let's look at that. All right, let's look at rental properties, because that's a great source of income for a lot of folks. Now, remember, the rental income you get from your rental property is probably largely taxable. When you buy a rental property, they amortize your deduction over 27 and a half years, I think it is. So if you've owned something for 20 years or 30 years and you've managed it all that time, probably all that income you might be getting from the rents from that property is taxable. So maybe there's something we can do to make that better for you. And I'll talk about that in a minute. Now, remember, when you own a rental property, you're dealing with toilets, trash, and tenants and all the hassles that brings to you. You have to pay property taxes on that rental property. You have to pay all the insurances there. You have to do the upkeep of the rental property as well. So there's a lot of hassles that go along with that. So maybe looking at your rental properties and doing a 1031 exchange or a DST is of benefit to you. Again, you have to be an accredited investor to work with us for this, and you have to be a client of ours as well. I have many clients that have rental properties. They're making $10,000 a month from their rental properties, but guess what? It's all taxable. So that means, state of California, probably 5,000 of that is really what they're putting in their pocket. But oh, guess what? They're not even putting that in their pocket because they have to pay property taxes. They have to pay insurance. They have to pay upkeep, and they're still dealing with the hassle of a tenant. So when I actually run the numbers and I say, okay, if you sell this property and we do a 1031 exchange, again, there's no taxes for you to do that. We do a 1031 exchange with you, and we have probably 10 or 15 different choices of 1031 exchanges to work with. A lot of times we can create tax advantaged income for you. The rents from the properties now becomes tax advantaged for you. And you don't have to deal with toilets, trash, and tenants anymore. There's no more property taxes you have to pay or insurance. So again, if this is something of interest to you, I can certainly run through the numbers, and many times I can put a lot more money in your pocket for you. Okay, again, income sources, where are we looking here? Non-qualified accounts, again, stocks, bonds, mutual funds, savings, inheritances. Maybe you're going to get an additional job when you retire. Maybe you want to still work, and that's great. I love the socialization that brings, so that's wonderful. Maybe you have home equity you can convert into a source of income as well. Maybe you have an inheritance. Like I say, a lot of times people inherit things and they just leave them where they're at. They don't really do anything for them. Let's make sure your assets are working for you. Life insurance. A lot of times accumulated life insurance policies can create income for you. And oh, by the way, we can add long-term care. So if you don't have long-term care in your life insurance, a lot of times we can improve that for you. Again, rental properties are a great place for sources of income for folks, maybe doing a 1031 exchange. I'm working with a lot of people these days that are selling their businesses. They're selling their businesses. They're going to get a big check. They don't know how to create income off of that because they've been working on their business all these years. But now they're coming to me saying, okay, how can I create income off this? How can I avoid and delay taxes on this? Again, there's a number of things we can do there. We can do opportunity zones. We can do different kind of trusts we can set up for you. We can do tax write-off programs for you. There's a number of things we can do. It just takes planning. So if you're selling your business, you're selling any highly appreciated asset that you have a gain on, there are a number of things we can do there to create income for you in retirement. And hopefully we can make it tax advantaged as well. That's always makes me happy when I can do that. Okay, well, I'm going to do two scenarios for you all here. So client A has a business value of 2 million, a 401k of $1 million, savings cash of 500,000, an IRA of 500,000, a Roth IRA of 200,000, rental properties of 2 million. Their home is worth $1.5 million, and Social Security is going to be $3,500 a month. Okay, how can we create income for this person? Second person, they've got cash and savings of 250,000. They've got an IRA of 300,000, a Roth IRA of 100,000. Their home is worth 800,000, and their Social Security is going to be $1,500 a month. Okay, let's just say in both of these scenarios, we need to create more income for them. Okay, so the goal here for this one, a client A, the goal is going to be, well, we need $15,000 a month. And that may be you may be more, maybe less, but let's just take this as a scenario here. Okay, the sale of the business is 2 million. Let's say they're going to sell their business and they're going to get a check. So 2 million, they're going to get a check. 401k, they have $1 million in there. Savings and cash of 500,000. The IRA is 500,000. The Roth's 200,000. And they're going to sell their rental properties and do 1031 exchanges with us for 2 million. So that's 6,200,000 that this person's going to have that we can create. Now let's assume we can get them 5%. I can get 5% very easily. I can get much higher than that as well. But let's just take this basic. I can get them 5%. Well, 5% times 6,200,000 is $310,000 a year. Divided by 12, that's $25,800 a month. Plus the Social Security is going to be $29,300 a month. I love that. We've way exceeded the 15,000 they were looking for. So again, working with us, doing the 1031 exchanges, helping you with the sale of the business to avoid and delay taxes, managing the 401ks, the cash, the IRAs, very important as a total financial plan. Again, this is, believe me, not what most financial advisors or financial institutions are going to work with you on. I can work with you with all of these. Most cannot. They're only going to deal with your 401k and your savings, perhaps your IRA. They're not going to know how to help you with the sale of a business or even your rental properties. So again, creating as much income as we can out of these accounts, I think, is very important. Okay, client B, let's take their scenario. They're looking for $4,000 a month. Again, this may be more or less than you need, but let's just take this as an example. So their savings in cash, we can use 250,000, their IRA is 300,000, their Roth is 100,000. That's 650,000. Again, assuming just a basic rate of 5%. Again, I can get much more than this, but let's just assume 5%. That's $32,500 per year divided by 12. That's $2,700 a month, plus the Social Security of $1,500 a month. That's $4,200 per month. Great. We got a little bit over what they were looking for. Again, this is all dependent on you. You can plug in your own numbers here, but I would highly recommend you call us and have us run these numbers for you to make sure we can do the right scenario for you. Again, this is the professional wealth management we're bringing into account here. We're not taking into account any taxes you might have to pay because I just don't know where that would be for you or what write-offs you might have. Again, that's us working with your CPAs. We do that quite a bit as well. Okay, what does it look like to work with us? Well, we're going to have a first meeting. So those of you that have not met with me, that first meeting, I'm going to ask you a lot of questions. I want you to ask me a lot of questions too. We're going to establish and define the relationship. Can I bring to the table what you're looking for? What are you looking for? And can I satisfy that for you? So I'm gathering all that information. I'm going to evaluate it and analyze it for you. I'm going to come back to you, develop and present to you my recommendations. If you say, hey, this sounds great, we'll implement the plan. And then of course, we'll monitor it regularly. We're very well known for getting back to clients as fast as possible, to do continual portfolio reviews for you as well. Unfortunately, I've heard bad stories out there about advisors not getting back to their clients, and the clients just don't know what's going on with their accounts. We are very well known for getting that and keeping in touch with you. So figure out where you are on the spectrum here. Do you have all your money in stocks? And again, it's red for a reason. It's going to go up and down. It's going to have high to moderate risk in that area. Or do you have all your money at low risk in cash? Maybe it's in the mattress at your house. And that's probably not wise either, because you need to have some money invested to keep up with inflation, if nothing else. So depending on where you are here, let's make sure you've got the right mix for you. How I help people too is through my budget sheet that's on my website. It starts with your budget. Now, I mentioned my scenarios there of creating income for people. What is your budget? How much do you need to spend every month once you retire, or even if you're pre-retirement? Know what your budget is. And this budget sheet is on my website, californiawealthadvisors.com. You can go there and get that. Know where your assets are. Your asset sheet is important too. Sometimes you say, hey, I worked 20 years ago for a company. They had a 401k. I know I contributed to it. I don't know where it is. I don't know what it's worth. Let's make sure we have all your assets listed here for you. And then the bucket list, I think, is very important too. Your bucket list. What do you want to do in retirement? I'm working with a gentleman right now. He's 65 years old right now. He's selling his business for $40 million. He's going to get a check for $40 million. He started with nothing when he was 15 years old. And so when I was chatting with him and I said, okay, great, you have these assets. Let's figure out how we can create income for you. I said, what do you want to do in retirement? And he said, I don't know. I've never had anybody ask me that. I said, well, I want you to start thinking about it. What makes you happy? What's going to bring you joy when you retire? And maybe it's starting another business. He might very well end up doing that. He's a very active guy. But here's some suggestion for you. Go on a safari, visit the 7 wonders of the world, come up with your own. I don't know what it's going to be for you, but I want you to think about what you want to do when you retire. What's going to make you happy? Maybe it's golfing. I'm a golfer. I love to golf. So maybe it's golfing for you, traveling the world, playing great golf courses. That'd be wonderful. That'd be on my bucket list. So make sure you have all 3 of these sheets, that you know where your assets are, you know what your budget is, you know what makes you happy, what brings you fulfillment. I think it's really important. It's not all about the dollars. It's about fulfillment as well. Okay, people we work with 401ks, like I said earlier, in-service transfers, rollovers, opening a brokerage window, trust accounts, annuities. A lot of times people have annuities that have not performed well. I have a client that came to me a number of years ago. She had a variable annuity that she'd owned for about 10 years. And she said, oh, they guarantee me 5%. I know I'm getting 5% a year. It's just great. And 10 years ago, that was a good yield. And I said, okay, great. Well, what do they charge you for this? She said, I have no idea. I said, okay, well, bring me the statement and let me look at it and let's see. She says, yeah, I don't think it's really gone up that much. So but they said they guaranteed me 5%. And I said, okay. So she brought me the statement, and she was making 5% a year, but they were charging her 4% a year. I couldn't believe it. I thought, wow, this advisor is never going to advise you to move this because he's making so much money off of this. I think that's ridiculous. So a lot of times we look at old annuities and we improve them. We lower the costs, we improve the upside, we give you downside protection perhaps. Those are called 1035 exchanges when we do that. No taxes for that. But there's a lot of things we can do to improve those. I do have annuities nowadays where you can get long-term care as a benefit as well. So if you are in poor health and you wouldn't qualify for a long-term care policy or a life insurance policy with long-term care, we can get it through the annuities these days. I love that. That's wonderful. Again, looking at old life insurance policies, improving those, adding long-term care to those, improving the death benefit that might be on those as well. And then let's make sure you're taking Social Security at the right time. Again, it's different for everyone, but let's make sure we're doing that right for you. We are a fiduciary. We always have been. We always will be. We're very proud of that. And we're also very proud of our A+ rating at the Better Business Bureau. We're very proud of that. So our complimentary services, again, the portfolio reviews, if we decide we're a good fit and we want to become clients, we religiously do portfolio reviews. We want you to know where your assets are, how they're doing. If we need to change anything, certainly we'll do that too. Roth conversions, debt management, cash flow projections, very important for income seeking folks. Looking for emergency money as well. Retirement planning is what we specialize in doing here. Providing any kind of tax documents, 1031 exchange, 1099s, K1s, anything like that. Managing your required minimum distributions, that's important too. Budget planning, and of course, we constantly do seminars and client education. We have a lot of parties too to have fun, but we want to make sure you're educated out there, and we send out a lot of invitations, and we want you to come to the ones that you're interested in. But I always think it's good to be educated on what's out there and available to people. So again, we have a lot of events. Go to my website, California Wealth Advisors. Please sign up for any upcoming events that we might have. And I like that first meeting to be in person. That's my preference. I want to get to know you. I want you to get to know me as well. So my first meeting, either in the Anaheim office or my Santa Barbara office, is my preferred way. I can do Zooms and phone calls as well, but I want to get to know you. I want to establish a relationship with you. So again, thank you for joining us. We really appreciate it. Again, it's so important for us to have these meetings to make sure you're educated on what's available to you. So if you have not worked with us yet and you're interested in creating income for retirement, or you have retirement dollars or investment dollars you need help with, 1031 exchanges, you're selling a business, you've sold a highly appreciated asset, and you need some help, by all means, give us a call. We'd be delighted to sit down and chat with you. So thanks so much, everyone. I know that some people sent in questions. Because we're limited on time here, I will get back to you with those questions. So by all means, send us an email with those questions, or you can type them in here, and we will get back to you with those. Okay. Thanks so much, everybody. Take care now.